Hey guys, YouTuber Internet here. Alright, and now here I am continuing my Christmas reviews for this year. Alright, and now here I am with a review for Disney's Babes in Toyland. Um, uh, so, as far as film adaptations of Babes in Toyland goes, this one is probably looked at by many to probably be the best one, but I don't think that's really saying a lot. Because, I mean, this film, I mean, I guess this was a decent film, but I mean, there's really nothing that special about this film, to be honest. I mean, it's not like absolutely terrible or anything, but there's really nothing about this film, or at least not a whole lot about this film, that really does stand out. I mean, I really do think that this film is pretty forgettable. I mean, this really isn't a film that I really think people like really think of when they think of Disney films. Like the films that I had like in my top 10 live action Disney films list back in June, like this film really doesn't actually like meet the standards of like really any of those films really. Yeah, this really isn't like all that hot, but I mean, it was a decent film. Like I guess there were like some enjoyable things about this film, I guess like some of the cast were okay. I mean, despite the fact that the two main actors for this film really were not very good. I mean, yeah, the film like has Tommy Sands and Annette Funicello as like Tom Piper and Mary Contrary in this film, and they really are not very interesting to watch in this film. I mean, yeah, no, they're just like really not very well written and really not too interesting, and yeah, I guess like they're just like really forgettable main stars of this film. But I mean, Ray Bolger, is that how it said Bolger? As Barnaby, he's like a pretty good in this film. Like he's like really enjoyable to watch in here. And of course, like Ed Wynn as the toy maker, he's like really good in this film also. I mean, like I really did enjoy Ed Wynn in this film. And yeah, I guess like the kids in this film, I mean, yeah, the kids are like absolutely forgettable in the film. And yeah, the cast for this film is just like really like hit and miss. This is where it go. I mean, you have like two enjoyable actors, but everybody else is like pretty forgettable. So yeah, the cast really isn't too strong aside from like two actors in the film. And I guess like the story is it's all right. I mean, not really sure like how well this really does follow like uh, the original operetta of Babes in Toyland. Yeah, I've like heard that the best version of Babes in Toyland is the Laurel and Hardy version. So yeah, I really don't know why it's not that one I'm reviewing, and why I'm reviewing like this version, but yeah, I guess just cause like this is the Disney version and it's probably like a real popular one considering it's Disney. So yeah, I guess that may be like why I decided to review this one instead of the Laurel and Hardy version. So, but yeah, I'm not really sure like how well or how faithful this is to the original operetta, so I can't really compare it to that. But yeah, I guess like this film, it is a decent film. I guess I mean, mm, uh, it really does like really pick up in the film. Like once like Ed Wynn as the toy maker or like is like introduced in the film, yeah. For basically like the first hour of this film, like it's just like a bunch of songs and singing and stuff. Like it's basically like treating this as a Broadway. I mean, I really like I just really had a hard time like remembering like any time like basically in the first hour that there wasn't any singing. Like that's like just about what all of like the first hour of this film was. It was just like a whole bunch of singing and a whole lot of songs and dancing and stuff. So yeah, and the songs I just really didn't think were very memorable. I mean, I really can't even remember the songs that they were doing in the first hour of the film. So No, there was that. But yeah, it like picks up like in the last 45 minutes once like Edwin as the toy maker arrives. And yeah, he's like really enjoyable in the film. I mean, just like how he was in Mary Poppins as Uncle Albert, I mean, Edwin is just like great in this film. And yeah, as I said, as Ray Bulger, he's I guess like enjoyable as the villain and stuff, but yeah, the film overall just it's like really hit and miss. I mean, I guess like it's like I said before, as far as films go, it probably is like the best adaptation of Babes in Toyland in film. I mean, that's what Nostalgia Critic said in his Disney Summer review for this movie. But I mean, it's still like really not all that hot to be honest. So if I had to rate this film, I would probably give it, I don't know. I guess I would give it like, I don't know, 2.75 stars out of 4. I mean, and I know it is like kind of like a low rating for the film, but yeah, it just like really, there's really not a whole lot of stuff about this film that really is that memorable. And yeah, it's just like, especially like with just about like the entire first hour really just being a whole bunch of songs and stuff. I mean, if you really can't remember like the songs or anything, then yeah, it's like really not that hot of a movie. So yeah, I guess like the 2.75 stars out of 4 is like a fair rating for this. So yeah, let me just talk a little bit about the plot for this movie. So yeah, as the film opens up, it's shown that it is like kind of a stage play, and like Mother Goose and Sylvester, her talking goose, are like introducing it, and then like like it has like Mary Mary quite contrary and Tom Tom the Piper's son are about to be married, and then like they're just like singing and dancing around all the time, and then like the villain Barnaby, he's like wanting to marry himself, and so then he hired like two crooks, Gonzorgo and Rodrigo, to basically get rid of Tom. He hired them to like row him into the sea and then steal Mary's sheep. And then I'll basically just deprive her of any support, and she would basically be forced to marry Barnaby. Yep. And then, but yeah, like Gonzorgo and Rodrigo instead, rather than like drowning Tom, he just ended up like being sold to the gypsies instead and then yeah, they like collected a double payment and stuff. Yeah. And once like they informed Mary about it, Barnaby and like the citizens were all like informed about it also, and like they were like showing Mary a forged letter with like Tom telling Mary that he was abandoning her, and that she'd be better off like marrying Barnaby. Yeah. And then like Mary was then just like reluctantly accepted the proposal from Barnaby and stuff. But then like Barnaby like ended up like arranging like the same gypsies unbeknownst to him to provide some entertainment for their wedding, and then like it showed Tom arrived, and then Tom like was ended up like being disguised as a gypsy Floretta, and then he ended up then revealing himself to who he was. Yeah. And then of course then like Barnaby was just like furious at Gonzorgo and Rodrigo. But then yeah, one of the children who lived with like Mary was then just ended up like telling her that there were sheep tracks that led into what was known as the Forest of No Return. And then later that night, the children then just like a bunch of other children end up like sneaking into the forest to search for the missing sheep. And one of these kids were actually played by Kevin Corcoran, who played Arliss in Old Yeller, and also in this film, Tommy Kirk, who played Travis in Old Yeller, is in it also. Tommy Kirk plays Grumio, who was like the toy maker's assistant or something. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, and then yeah, they're children, and then like as they went to the forest, it then like showed that the trees inside the forest ended up like awakening, yeah, these trees end up being alive, and then they end up capturing the kids. But then, yeah, Tom and Mary like gave chase to the children, and then they rescued them. Yeah, and then yeah, Tom and Mary at first like didn't believe the children about the trees being alive, but then they were shown that the trees were alive. Right? Yeah. And then the trees just explained to Tom, Mary, and the children that they're now in Toyland, and they're all now in custody of the toy maker, who was the mayor of the town and also the police chief. And eventually they came across the toy maker's house, and like Grumio, the toy maker's like assistant, was like had this new machine he made that makes toys without any manual labor. And then just the toy maker really was overjoyed by the machine, but then he like ended up like causing the machine to really like go at a high speed, and it ended up like exploding, and every toy in the toy factory was destroyed. And the toy maker was then just like really worried that he wouldn't be able to get the toys done in time for like the Christmas deadline. So then Tom, Mary, and the children then just offered the toy maker to help them make some more toys in time for the deadline. And so then that's what they did. And then eventually Grumio then like showed the toy maker another invention that he created, which was like a gun that had the ability to shrink down everyday objects down to the size of toys. But he also told the toy maker that if it was used on an object a second time, then the object would just like disappear completely. Yeah. And the toy maker like really did love Grumio's invention at first, but then Tom then just pointed out to the toy maker that they really wouldn't be able to find enough of the everyday objects to shrink down to the size of toys that were needed for Christmas. And so then, yeah, the toy maker then just ended up like rejecting Grumio again, and then he just ended up like throwing the gun out of the window. But yeah, Barnaby was actually like spying on the toy maker and everyone, and he ended up like taking the gun, and then he then like shrank down the toy maker and Tom, and then Gonzorgo and Rodrigo finally then just decided to abandon Barnaby, but then as they were trying to escape, then Barnaby then just ended up like shrinking them down with the gun too, and then they locked Grumio, Rodrigo, and Tom in a bird cage, and then he basically then just ended up forcing Mary to marry him after he threatened to destroy Tom. Yeah. And then he made the toy maker like preside over the wedding ceremony and threatened to destroy him if he didn't. Yeah. And the toy maker then was just like trying to draw out the ceremony as long as he could. And then, yeah, Gonzorgo and Rodrigo then ended up rescuing Tom. And then they snuck out of the birdcage. And then they like brought an army of toy soldiers to come and fight against Barnaby. And the effects for the toy soldiers were like actually pretty good. I mean, the animation for like these toys, I guess, were like pretty good for the time. I mean, considering this film came out in 1961, I guess the animation for the toys coming to life was pretty good. I mean, we saw a little bit of it at Mary Poppins, which was made a few years later, like when they were like tidying up the nursery, when you saw like those toy soldiers and like those other toys like putting themselves away and stuff. Yeah, we saw like kind of that same animation here with like these toy soldiers marching. Yeah. And they eventually arrived to fight Barnaby, but Barnaby then just easily took them all out. Now, and then once Barnaby was about to like destroy Tom with the gun again, then Mary ended up like firing something with a toy cannon at the gun and ended up destroying it, and then put like the shrinking liquid for the gun ended up then just splattering over Barnaby, and he was shrank down to toy size also. And then yeah, Tom and Barnaby then just like had a sword duel with them, and then eventually Tom ended up like stabbing Barnaby, and then Barnaby just fell like from a real huge height into an empty toy box. Yeah. But yeah, and then yeah, Grumio then ended up like creating another invention that basically would like reverse the shrinking and return everything back to the original size. And then he used it on the toy maker Gonzorgo and Rodrigo. And when he was about to use it on Tom, Grumio was reminded that he, by the toy maker that he used the head and Grumio was just the assistant. And then, yeah, the toy maker then just ended up using it himself to return Tom to his size. And then, yeah, the movie then just then ended with Tom and Mary a few days later, then like marrying in the Mother Goose village. And then, yeah, it showed that Gonzorgo and Rodrigo were there, as well as the trees from the Force of No Return, yeah. And then, yeah, it just showed Tom and Mary then just like setting off in their carriage and the curtains closing, and then that's how the movie ended. So, yeah, 2.75 stars out of 4, like I said. I mean, yeah, nothing really that big about this film that really stands out, aside from, like, Barnaby and the Toy Maker, and, like, the animation for the Toy Soldiers, and I guess there were, like, a few other good elements about this, but, yeah, there's just really nothing that memorable about this film, and just nothing that really does stick out very much. So, personally, if you're looking for probably like if you are a fan of like Babes in Toyland and story and stuff, if you're looking for a good film for this, like I said before, I mean, I guess this is probably the best one you're gonna find as far as films go. But if you're looking for like a really really good adaptation, despite the fact I haven't really seen it, you'll probably end up like wanting to go for the Laurel and Hardy version. Yeah, I may actually watch the Laurel and Hardy version at another time because yeah, that one is like said to be a lot better, and yeah, this is probably the one I should have actually been reviewing. So yeah, maybe some other time I will actually watch that one. Yeah, I won't be reviewing it with these Christmas reviews, but yeah, maybe sometime I'll try to find that version and watch it and see like how better that one really is. So yeah, I guess I'll just time will tell if I ever watch it. Then yeah, it'll probably be a lot better. And yeah, if I would suggest like you try to find it also rather than watching this version. So yeah, all right. So yeah, this is my review of Disney's Babes in Toyland. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.